Okay, I haven't done any reviews on this channel for a long time, mainly because the product just frustrated me, and it's no point in talking about how bad it is because everybody's doing that. But I have seen like at least I've seen three reviewers. I have seen Wrestling with Regret. I have seen, of course, I have seen Simon from What Culture. I have seen his ups and downs, and I've also seen Wrestle Talk. Now, I'm not going to badmouth these people at all. That's not the whole purpose of this so-called review. It's mainly because I was shocked to see how many cons that each of these reviewers had, but they gave them high marks. And I'm just like, okay, why do you give it high marks? Like, Wrestling with Regret gave it a B+. Then you actually had ups and downs, and I know Simon is always positive, but he does have legit criticisms at times. He gave it an up, even though he had more downs than ups. And then, of course, you had Wrestle Talk, where Ollie Davis actually gave it a 4 out of 5. And it was all because of the finish. And I'm just like, okay, this is all because of Bobby Lashley winning. And I didn't really watch the show at the time. I just heard about the results. So I'm like, okay, you have more cons than pros. So I was like, okay, I'm going to watch this myself and see whether or not I'm going to have the same feeling as all three of these guys. And I'm just going to go straight to it. This was average. This was an average show. It didn't deserve high marks. If you honestly wanted to have a mark between a 0 and a 5, this would be a 3. It shouldn't be higher than that. And mainly it's because most of the matches on the show didn't matter. The women's matches never mattered, not in the slightest. You had ideas what was going to happen down the line, but it didn't matter. It didn't put any stakes or anything. It didn't build anything towards WrestleMania. It did nothing. Now, I will admit, Sheamus versus Drew McIntyre was a good match. I expected that to be a good match. It was pretty hard-hitting. It was pretty brutal. It was a good match. Great way to start it off. But down the line, everything was kind of meh. It was not that good to watch. But I'll give you this. Randy Orton is committed. He's committed all the way through to this whole shtick with him and The Fiend. Even though, in my opinion, it's dragged out too long. I was interested before in how Alexa Bliss was trying to set herself on fire. But it's just after we didn't get any payoff with that, it started to get stale. Seeing how he is coughing up black syrup or something like that before, and then he was like coughing like there was something in his throat. That guy is committed all the way through. I will give that to him for that. But the matches prior, like Naomi's squash match that she had was not with Nia Jax, was a joke. Then of course you had Charlotte Flair getting her, well, she pretty much got beaten up for a while. But then she ended up beating Shayna Baszler. And say what you want about Charlotte, but the fact that Charlotte, even though she was part of the Final 3 in the Royal Rumble, she didn't win. And I really do feel that she was the one that actually took the pin to lose the championships. So I feel that if this does happen, which it just might, because Asuka has been ignored for far too long, and it is ridiculous how much she's been ignored, because she is the women's champion. And that belt that she had was the one that was introduced that retired the Divas belt in 2016 at WrestleMania 32. That belt has more worth to it than the SmackDown belt. I hate to say it, but it's true. The SmackDown belt was brought along because you had two brands that were separated. They needed to have a belt over there, and they created one. But the one that had more meaning, more worth, in my opinion, is the Raw Women's Championship, because it was the original belt for a very long time. We just had the Divas, but it replaced that. So it has more worth. I think, and this is just my theory, if Charlotte Flair has another match with Asuka, she's going to put her over. She's going to do the unthinkable. And I take it all back if I'm wrong. But seeing how she ate the pin for the women's tag championship match at the Royal Rumble, she ate the pin there, and she also lost, even though she was in the Final 3, she lost at the Royal Rumble. She is going to put Asuka over. The one thing that should have been done so many years ago, she's going to put her over this time. And it's going to be a good match. And that's just my theory. But maybe I should save that for WrestleMania. I don't know. It's all over the place right now. But as for the show, the only thing that brought everyone interest to wait for 3 hours and watch this thing all the way through was Bobby Lashley versus The Miz. How it was going to go, how it was going to pan out. We knew how it was going to pan out, y'all. The match between The Miz and Bobby Lashley, we knew it was going to be a squash. And it was. It was a prolonged squash, but it was a squash. But the one thing I'm going to say is this. Everything The Miz has said made sense. Why do it here? Why do it on Raw? Why not wait until like the biggest stage of them all in WrestleMania? Why not main event? They weren't going to main event WrestleMania. It was going to be Roman. But regardless, that would have been a WrestleMania payout. You would have had eyes on you for the first time in a year. It would have been an easy win. And you would have been making that money. I'm sorry. The Miz got a point. Everything that The Miz said made sense. The fact is, why waste your time on the butt crack of the WWE? I'm sorry. It is the stinky, festering butt crack of the WWE is Raw. That's what it is. And that sounded terrible, and I can't change that. But you know what I mean. Why waste your time there? You should have waited 6 weeks. 6 weeks, y'all. Bruh. 6 weeks. They could have waited 6 weeks, had a WrestleMania payout, had more eyes on you, would have been a more gratifying win to see The Miz lose. And if it was a lumberjack match at WrestleMania, sure, it would have worked there. It shouldn't have been on Raw. Everything The Miz said made sense, especially when he was talking to Shane. He was like, look, I am a champion. You can actually put a show around me. You can put me in a reality show. You can put me on a talk show on Raw. You can actually revolve this entire company around me. And he has a point. Because let's be honest, Miz and Mrs. is by far better than Total Divas and Total Bellas. I love me the Bella twins, but I'm sorry, Miz and Mrs. is way funnier. It just is. I'm sorry. The Miz is far better in reality shows and far better being out there in mainstream media than Bobby Lashley is. Let's be honest, the guy can't talk without help. He can't. Let's be real. The guy is a behemoth. He's a scary champion. He's getting better when it comes to him speaking, but he's not a speaker. He just isn't. So everything The Miz said made sense. So in my opinion, it should have waited. It should have waited 6 weeks for that easy win, for that WrestleMania payout, and you would have had eyes on you because you would have had an audience full of fans after 1 year of not having any. It was dumb to have it on Raw. It just was. Now, I know that there were so many fans that were satisfied. Oh, Bobby Lashley deserves it. Bobby Lashley should have had the belt a long time ago. True. In the Ruthless Aggression era, he should have gotten the belt then, but he didn't. You're telling me that Bobby Lashley should have gotten a belt when he was showing his butt, literally, with Lio Rush. Every time he would come over, bend over, and pat his butt. And then he had his drag queen sisters out there saying how much he loved them. He deserved it then? Oh, what about that train wreck of a storyline with him, Lana, and Rusev? The cuckold storyline. You're telling me that he deserved it then? Really? He deserved it then. No, he was booked way too badly to have that title around him. It would have been an embarrassment. It wouldn't have improved anything. He needed to regroup. He needed to rebuild his name. And the Hurt Business helped him a lot. But I digress. The fact is, that was a wasted win. It just was. At least in my eyes. He could have gotten a far better payout and far better advantages waiting 6 more weeks to WrestleMania than blowing it off on the butt crack of Raw. Seriously. He should have. Should have waited. And I know a lot of people are happy to see Bobby Lashley win. But in my opinion, it was just wasted. It was just wasted. But to be honest, this was not in no way, shape, or form a 4 or a 5. This wasn't. Just because Bobby Lashley won doesn't mean the entire show was good. This show was meh. It was average. It should be building up for WrestleMania. You should be getting hyped right now. And it's March. They got 6 weeks to build up, to get the hype in for WrestleMania, and they ain't even doing that. That's sad. This is the road to WrestleMania, and it is a mediocre show. Why do people give that a pass because Bobby Lashley won? Now, I know that I probably don't give this much of a criticism when it comes to people doing the same thing with a pay-per-view. Hell, I've done it. But to be honest with you, at least majority of the matches on that card was good. If you have 2 stinkers and the rest was fine, then that's different. But if you have a whole bunch of stinkers and one good thing, then no! You can't give that a high... Why would you give that a high rating? I mean, it's subjective. People's feelings is subjective. How they feel about it is subjective. But it doesn't make any sense, though. Why in the world would you give a high rating to a show that probably had only maybe 2 good matches? You had Drew McIntyre versus Sheamus, and then you had the main event. And they stretched it out. They really stretched it out. They should have just stretched it out all the way to WrestleMania. And yeah, fans would have been miffed. They would have been real pissed off. But it would have been a better payout. It would have had a better result, don't you think? But anyway, this show was average. It was mediocre. It doesn't deserve a 4. It doesn't deserve a 4.5. It's a 3. It's not even a 3.5. It's a 3. I don't get why people rate this so high because of the ending. But that's my overall view on this show. What do you guys think about it? Do you guys think it was a 4 because Bobby won? Or do you really think it was an average show and it's like a 3? If I was really mean, I would rate it a 2, but I think it's just a 3. But I want to hear what y'all thoughts are. Leave it in the comment section below. Let me know what you think about this this Raw. This is the March 1st episode of Raw. So I really do want to know what you guys think about it. Seriously. Maybe it's something I'm missing, but this show is painfully mediocre.